Okay, what's up, everybody? Another episode here. Tech Packs are due. I doing a round two of my Vietnam Asia travel episode here. Like I shot one yesterday and felt like maybe it was the jet lag or something, but it just wasn't flowing the way I wanted it to flow, and felt like I was really catchy. And point is I feel like I needed uh, another shot, another go at it. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on this episode. I am here live on location in Vietnam, on the other side of the world from most of my viewers. It's something that comes with the territory of being in footwear design, and probably not that I've been in other areas of design, but I assume that other areas of industrial design go through this as well. So before I get into it, and what I want to talk about this episode, I want to say thanks to everybody who has already listened to the other episodes, especially the one with Colin. It's getting a lot of views, which I didn't really expect. I did when we were going through the episode. It felt like it was so fluid that it just felt like there's something here. And so I hope that more of this, kind of, high level, in my opinion, high level of professionalism, high level of, intent and knowledge kind of comes through in this podcast. Sorry, there's no shoes. Maybe I'll go get something and put it in the scene. Just, they're kind of beat because I have been walking through the city, and we just got back from like a giant walk around the city, which is cool because I think I have not seen a lot of Ho Chi Minh. Just in my travels to Vietnam, I have not seen a lot of it, but we had like kind of an expert 20 plus time traveler Vietnam in our group, and he kind of took us around, and man, beautiful, lots of cool stuff. Felt like I saw the highlights. Got close to the river, got to see some of the really giant buildings, and with these trips too, like, you get to eat some pretty good food. Sometimes it can be questionable food, but for the most part, I think when you travel, you go to pretty vetted places, especially footwear design. You're not like, you're not hurting. It is kind of fun to go in like convenience stores and see things that you haven't seen, or go to the McDonald's and see what they're offering. It's kind of fun to see, like, McDonald's has like, fried pork and rice and like curry sometimes, and like some other things too, like different types of like slushies and things that I think are unique to this area. Anyway, it's like kind of fun. Anyway, I think I was saying thanks for all the views of the Colin episode. And I mean it too. It's not wasted on me that you all are here listening to this. Like, I had this vision. Again, I talk to a lot of people and talk about a lot of cool things every day. And it just seems like those types of conversations would be interesting to other people. And this stuff is like doesn't go into specifics of like, what I'm designing, because I am here to, work on product and do my job. But also just, all these conversations happen every day that are outside of the job, and that are so cool, that I want more people to see. So I hope they continue to bring that kind of high level content as I get more and more people on. I think I have a developer lined up to talk shop. It should be fun, just to hear some more diverse backgrounds. Because one of my friends kind of said the other day, as I was Thinking through this episode, that it might be good to have other functions of footwear on. That was always in the plan, but it makes a lot of sense because there are other avenues into footwear, where you don't have to be a guy like me with a pen and paper. And I'm not a pen and paper and don't really do that, but an iPad, but, or, whatever, Photoshop, whatever you use, to, you don't have to have any of that. You don't have to do that stuff to get into footwear and to be around the creation of awesome product. You can be a developer as well, or you can be in product line, understanding consumers and stuff. So we'll get to that. Okay. So Asia travel. It is something that I didn't realize was a part of the job. I do not know how I missed that before signing up for this, but I did not know that. Probably because I just didn't know any footwear designers before jumping in. I didn't. It was kind of one of those things where I literally sat down for orientation, and it's not like I even read a job description, from the bio episode, that I don't know if I'm going to release this one first or the bio, but anyway, to kind of go back into that is Brooks found me. I was talking to Cole Haan, New Balance, and Adidas at the same time. And so there wasn't like I was checking a job description, top to bottom, and getting to the part where it says travel, 20% or whatever, 10% travel. But it just never occurred to me, until literally I was in orientation, and, oh man, one of the HR reps in orientation was essentially yeah, we're going to do this and this. And Jake, you're going to have to, you're going to have to go get your passport, for travel reasons. And it's just I was like, say what? What are we talking about? Travel? And I was like, and I was just kind of taken aback. Not that it was a bad thing, but I just didn't know that was a part of what I was going to be doing here. So, with that said, it was kind of exciting to realize I get to travel as a part of this job. That's cool. Why? And, we kind of get into that on this episode, but, I guess the point is, if you don't know that yet, here's your spoiler that we do travel to Asia to be a part of the process and do things over here. Funny thing about it all is, since joining this footwear design function, I have kind of been around the world a few times, and it's not just Vietnam you get to go to. There are other vendors and other suppliers and other places you can go. I was part of materials development for a little bit, and so I got to go to other vendors in Taiwan, China, been kind of, all over the place. And then was able to go with the color team, at Brooks, and go to places like Australia, and even places stateside, went to New Mexico one time, just you kind of just want to get out of the office. I think in a creative role, and I'm always surprised by this, but I don't know why I am, when you're in the office all the time, when you finally get out of the office, for some reason that kind of flips a switch, and you realize things are different outside of here. I don't know why that's so eye-opening, but I think you get into your office space so much that you don't, I don't know, you think you get in this bubble, and once you get out and you realize other people do creative things, that kind of energizes you a little bit. So I highly advise that if you have been in the office and haven't gone out or gone, walking around retailing or something and looking at other products other than the one you're working on, highly advise it. Get out once a month, get out of the office and go look at some cool stuff. Not footwear, like go look at t-shirts or like graphic design or little trinkets like arts and crafts and stuff, and see what other people are doing, colors they're using, and like, different methods of making that you haven't really thought of. All of kind of like revitalizes those like creative juices. And that's not necessarily what Vietnam is for, but that's kind of how I've had other travel, how that's kind of gone. All right, let's get down to it here. I'm seeing I'm already 11 minutes in. We haven't even talked about this subject. First thing is like, everyone does, Asian travel kind of differently, but I would say the overall point of coming here, in my opinion is rather like twofold. I would say the main purpose is you come to look at your product and see how it's made, and hear from development on this side close to your product, like how it's going, and what's good, what's not going good, and how can you improve your design with the experts one-to-one rather than over an email. And I just think, when I think about emails, there's so much like information loss, time loss, just from time difference. People are being done with their workday. Some people will stay up or like on the America side, and some people will work later on the Asia side to like, so there's like this connection point, just timeline wise. But when you come over here, it kind of just like breaks that chain, which I think is you make up for all that lost time. The other thing is there is a team here, and usually when you see names, you don't associate faces, you don't associate people, families, lives, livelihood. You don't associate smiles with names, getting to look people in the eye, shake hands, until you come over here. So being fresh at this company, being fresh at Rad, I wanted to kind of make it my mission to come over and try to get to know the people I'm going to see on email, like one-to-one, talk to them, look them in the eye, introduce myself, ask them questions, get to know them, not only just as an employee, but as a person. And I tell you, that's been like kind of the richness of this this travel for me, for this time around is getting to sit and laugh and ask questions about life with some of my development teams. So awesome. And so, yeah, I think that's such like a major thing about like coming here to Vietnam, meeting these development teams and realizing they're people and they have expertise, they have experiences as well. Some of them I would dare to say a lot stronger than my experience, because they see the product made, they've seen things work, not work. And so I like to like rely on them. And I think the closer you get to them outside of being an employee, being friends, the more you can communicate. They know your voice, you get to know their voice, and things just start to click better. I think it's just, oh man, it really cements the experience. And I think it also helps that we have a great team. And I think, I don't know what it is, but I try not to put a lot of like blame on the pandemic per se. But I think since then, the seriousness at which, like, in the speed, I think, and the pressure that we apply to footwear nowadays has kind of gone out the window a little bit. I think we all start to realize like um, that there's just more to life than shoes. Um, so anyway, getting to know your people, that's a main part of coming over here. Number two is, I would say, seeing production. And there are so many parts and pieces to footwear, things that you don't even know, like things that you don't even know are going on. And you wouldn't know if you don't come over here and really immerse yourself in the process. And I don't know if I'll attach anything to this video, like, different videos and stuff, but probably not, because it's just not something that you broadcast out. But there are assembly lines, and there are seamstresses, and people who are lasting and attaching soles, midsole units, creating midsoles, die cutting materials. And this is something that they do every day, all day, kind of like how good that we might get at like drawing shoes, or, now you can start to like, I can just almost like whip out a running silhouette like this. People are doing that over here, but with like stitching, strobling, all parts of the process, gluing, heat pressing, all that stuff. And so I would say that that's just stuff that like you don't really know is going on when you pick up a pen and you draw something out. You don't know all the parts and pieces, the level of expertise that comes with getting that to be an actual shoe. And I experienced a little bit of it making shoes myself on my senior project. But I would say like that was such a micro, one-off shoes, and getting those to work is a lot different than millions and millions of pairs. And the consistency that has to come out, the outcome needs to be so consistent with those pairs, like millions and millions and millions, and you don't want to waste anything, and you're trying to nest everything. There's just like so much that has been thought of over here that, it doesn't always exist. I know it doesn't exist in America completely, for sure. But there is like, New Balance is doing Made in America, which is super cool to have that technology, that know-how stateside. But definitely in the larger realm of footwear, like all that knowledge is on this side of the planet. And so you come here and you get to see things. And just a small example, there's two that I can think of that were really eye-opening for me. One was this most recent trip. We were watching a process be done, just on a tongue that I designed. And you think that there's not much to it. Like I really thought I was creating something simple in this tongue, but the way we got there, and we were like, oh, we're going to watch a demonstration on this tongue pattern making. And we're like, okay, let's go check this out. Things that I never thought were part of the process ended up being part of the process. I sat down, we watched this lady put different parts of the tongue in a jig, and literally like the way she applied adhesive, it was a new tongue. This is new. I hadn't seen it be made yet. I hadn't got it in hand, but I got to see the way they applied the adhesive was really difficult on the factory worker. And I'm watching them put this in this jig, and I'm seeing her boss look over her shoulder, and like kind of analyze, what she's doing, making sure it gets done correctly. And I'm like, man, and I put like this one line into this tongue, and I didn't think anything of it really. Didn't think it was going to make a big difference, but just making that one line increased the time, of the process by almost minutes. She was trying to like get this thing to stay put and like get it ready to be pressed. And I was just like, man, like I didn't think anything of that line. Like I just thought, well, I'm putting that line here to make things more flexible, to give a little bit. But that one thing increased the workload by 100. And what's hard for me is, I wasn't like born a footwear designer, right? Like, one thing I'm learning just in life is like nothing's ever like given. So, I kind of worked different jobs before, during high school and in college. And, I've had to work with my hands. Like, I was, a grocery store, cart bringer inner person, cart wrangler. I don't know what you call them, but, and I've worked with my hands before. I worked at KFC for 3-4 years when I was in high school and college, and certainly have done my fair share of like hands-on things. And I just don't like to I don't know what it is, but I just don't like to make people work harder than they have to. I guess because I don't want to work harder than I have to work. I don't want to work long hours. I don't want to have my arms, hands hurt every day. I just think life is too short to just be like stressing all the time. But again, I'm like just seeing that one line, create that much work for somebody was like, man, not that I want to like make everything square, right? Because at some point product needs to be interesting for people to pick it up and buy it. But it definitely made me rethink like everything that I'm doing. Like, and I'd say the other experience too that kind of reshaped my whole thinking was, when I was at Brooks, like we were coming through the factory lines, and my developer at the time was like, hey, I want to show you all like every step of this process. And I was like, cool. So one day we were at a vendor making midsoles, doing outsoles, and we get to this point where there's like tables and there's people with the molds, and these are, I want to say younger people, 20s, whatever, maybe younger, maybe older, but definitely like young people in this room with the molds, and they have paper, and they've got these little etching pens, little metal, like almost like chopsticks, and they're like rubbing release paper into the molds. And I was like, man, that's this is intense. And he goes, yeah, every texture gets one of these things done, like to the rubber outsole, and someone applies it. And I was like, that just seems miserable, like hunched over, like it's not like they had like comfy chairs, like you just realize like the decisions that you make affect people's lives. And I just remember thinking, well, for the rest of my life, I'm only applying one release paper, and I'm only going to add it to like the surface of the rubber. Like, so if you go back and you look at my shoes, like I am not applying release paper to like the deepest depths of any groove. I'm not applying textures to anything, just because I just don't want to be the person that makes life hard. And I get some, like demand creates jobs sometimes. So like perhaps if you put more release paper into whatever, but I just tend to think of people. And so I just refuse, like, and I think it's one of those things where you can, because no one cares. Like people care about the shoe, but they don't care about the RP texture on the rubber. Anyway, it is an eye-opening experience, right? And you get this holistic view of how footwear is made. And it's like, it's invaluable. And so, while I used to, I think, be one of those people, and I think people will tell you, like, I would kind of stomp my feet. I didn't want to go because I didn't want to, jump on the flight, do the 20 plus hour, travel days and all this stuff. It ends up being, a beautiful experience in the long run. And I think a lot of it's like what you go and what you put into it is what you get out of it. And you get to see, one of the beautiful cities in the world. You get to see how these people live, and, it's interesting, and you realize again, we're not all so different. Really, when I talked to one of our developers over here, turns out he has 2 kids. I have 3 kids. Like, turns out that they go to bed at the same time, just like we go to bed at the same time. And it's like, his daughter kicks him in the middle of the night, or his daughter will wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, yeah, my daughter wakes up in the middle of the night too. And, you find out that, we're kind of in it together. Right. All it is to say, like, it's a great experience. And I had some pretty horrible flight experiences. And I think, every company does a little different. I think that's something you can expect as well. Like, some companies will fly you business class. Some companies won't do that unless you're like senior level and above. Thank goodness I've eclipsed that. And some companies, will only fly you coach or premium economy, and you're going to be tired. Tell you, I cannot sleep on planes, and unless I am fully flat. And one time I got to do that, and this most recent travel, I got to do that, and it is a game changer. I'll tell you that. Not sleeping soundly for 20 hours, it'll do something to you. So, I'm looking at everybody out there like, hey, if you're sending footwear across the pond, like, please let them sleep, give them the good seats if you can do it. And I know some of you big brands out there, you can make it happen. Not calling out anybody specific, but if you are, but yeah, coming here, I had slept quite a bit for this trip. And so jet lag was a breeze. I felt probably the best I've ever felt. Ever, coming through. But just know that, hey, that might not be the thing. You might not get that treatment, or you might have to work for it at some companies, which just seems like, when you're putting in the effort, it just seems like, just give them the good stuff. What do I know? Not up there in the business level, but this is my Jake from Tech Packs guarantee that if I am in that position, perhaps I will push for it. I'll spring for it. How about that? So I'd say that's good. That's a solid 30 episode. I don't know if I've missed anything, but just remember that you're coming here to team build. You're coming here to build with your own team. It's kind of a bonding experience to walk the city together and eat lots of meals because you're here for a while. That's the other thing I would say, like, you're coming for 10 to 14 days. Like, that's just how it goes. And you're coming to do some, big deal stuff. Usually when you're over here, you're trying to do like the last 5 to 10% on a product, and you're trying to get it to a point of confirmation level, where you're saying, you know what, confirmed, you're shaking hands with everybody and you're saying, let's build this thing. Let's put it on some feet. Which is also an exciting thing when you hear, Asia travel. You should probably perk up because you've probably done a lot of work going into this trip. You're going to get to see that hard work, on a last. You're going to get to see, what the future looks like a little bit, and you all get to get excited to make it together, which is awesome, right? And sometimes it doesn't always get confirmed here. You find some hiccups that maybe you have to take stateside and flesh out. But for the most part, you get to you get to confirm some stuff and build it, and, put some dollars down and, get some product going, some top secret product, right? It's always fun. Yeah. So that, again, I think I was trying to recap it, but then I remembered oh yeah, you're actually here to do something. What is that thing? Well, it's design and make revisions really fast. And hey, I work with some experts on getting the things you want done. I had to make a revision this time around that was impossible if I wasn't sitting next to the tooling engineer and just said, "Hey, like hold this line, change this one." Uh, it would have been impossible. Like I was struggling stateside to figure out how to even communicate it without getting on a call. Um, and literally within a minute of talking to the expert, I was like, "Hey, what's up? My name's Jake. How you doing? Here's what I want to do. Done." And yeah, it was like a 5 minute conversation. He walked out. We got the revisions back, and boom, look at that, done, looking good. Oh, look, I love making this show. Shoes aren't easy, man. It's glamorous and it looks good on Instagram, and you see people posting interesting stuff and sketching things, and that's all good. But when it's time to put pen to paper and create product for the world, it's tough, and rightfully so, because you get to this point where you make something that's unique and gets people excited. And oh man, for sure, I would love for it to be easy. I try my best to get good enough that it can be easy. I've been trying to, I guess one thing that I try to do is to make it easier on myself and on other people is when suggestions come to me, like, "Hey, I'm making this product. It sucks to make. Can I tweak this reinforcement and that reinforcement?" I'm like, you know what? If it makes it easier, cool. But then sometimes, I think everyone like checks in with design as like, "Hey, I'm not ruining your design if I, move this here." And you're like, "You are not. Continue." And people know what I'm talking about on that. If you've done any kind of product, suggestions come to you from Asia, and you're like, yeah, but yeah, and I guess I try to be pretty easygoing in that sense. But 30 minutes here, 32. But like I said, I'm just grateful that you guys are here watching this show, listening to it, watching it. Super great. Again, footwear, team building, checking out the process, building product together, confirming things. It's great. Nothing better. Oh man. And it's not without a price. Like, I do miss my family. Like, I miss hanging out with them, and I miss, being able to be on the time zone where I can watch a football game, and I missed the whole week of college football, and it's like, crap. But miss the Cougs, miss the Cougs win one at the buzzer, basically. And but you know what? Yeah, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It's a job. I've been thinking about that, and so kind of be the last thought, I guess. Just my father's generation. I mean, he still gets up every day at 5, maybe even earlier. I don't know. It's early. I don't do it. But he gets up, does his job, and works hard every day. Comes home, does it. He's been doing it since I was, since I was born. And so I think we're trying to create a career for ourselves that we don't necessarily have to do that. But at some points that you have to make some sacrifices for product, and that's the nature of the job. I think about, the time in the pandemic where I was kind of like jaded to the, like travel a little bit, because, I realized, well, wait, we've done several seasons now. We haven't traveled to Asia, and the footwear has gone, it's come out. I mean, in case you didn't notice, like stuff got designed and stuff got produced. I mean, there might have been some shifts and deadlines and dates and some serious shifts and deliverables and when people got stuff, retail wise, but we still designed, we still saw material, we still produced the shoes, right? And there was a massive effort on this side of the world to figure out COVID and all those things. And I mean, it was a massive effort by an entire industry to figure out how to get things done while not traveling, right? And so, and for the safety of the people here, for the safety of people there, and it was a big thing. It was a big switch. And so I kind of thought like, well, why should we go back if we can save on the cash and all this stuff to stay, stateside. And, I kind of fought for it for a little bit. I will say though, it is definitely not as bad if you're coming over business class. Not trying to say that to sound like, big dollar or whatever it is, or, that's just dumb, but would never say that. But it is a lot easier when you're basically pampered on the flight, like coming over, versus like trying to just, eat like a airplane version of a hot pocket, and in a seat that reclines probably an inch with like no leg room, right? Like there's a little bit of a difference. That being said, again, nurturing the relationships, and creating product in-house is it's just a fun time. And if you have a great team, it makes it even better. You get to make some memories and, just enjoy life. It's kind of an interesting thing. Anyway, so that's an episode. I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm sure we'll hit more of the highlights, as we keep going. The sun's like going down just in the time that I talked everyone's ear off. Look, again, thank you for coming. Like, subscribe. I hope this is going to be the place you come to learn about footwear, and maybe necessarily how to do it, but what it sounds like coming from someone who's done it for a while. Again, we're going to try to work in some tutorials soon, trying to figure out how to film that, how to get my camera in the right, spot, how to get lighting right. But I'm going to start kind of diving into some of those things. And going to talk to some other roles in footwear. It's going to be great. Having fun. So I guess that's the big thing. We're going to have Colin back on, talk through some stuff. I think he's going to talk bio and past lives and and LinkedIn resume stuff, and we're gonna keep going. Colin was awesome. I think it's fun to talk with him, and he might end up being a co-host here, and maybe we'll talk with 3 people. Who knows? The more the merrier, right? So it's not just me rambling for 38 minutes at a time, even though it's fun. It's kind of like a video journal. All right, that's it. Thanks for coming by. Have a good day. Stay healthy. Whatever you're doing, it's getting wintertime. It's starting to get cold over in the States. Stay warm. I hate being cold. I do like being cold when I'm sleeping, but I don't like being cold when I go out every day. And oh man, it felt like the summer was magical, didn't it? Like we had a great time. Anyway, shout out everybody. Shout out my Seattle peeps. Shout out Portland peeps. Shout out my hometown, my family, wherever they're at. If you're listening, yo. I'm healthy. I'm alive. Gosh, the amount of fretting I feel like people do when I come over here is crazy. It's a nice place. Anyway, all right. Tech bags are due. Tell your people. Come back next time. See you. Bye.